You so much for being with us. Is now the right time to reopen America?
Well, we have to examine it step by step and listen to the scientists. I'm on the White House task force for reopening our economy. We had a call this morning with the president. It was a collaborative call with exchange of ideas. The takeaway, I think, is that we have to have a step by step approach, a gradual approach, and we have to listen to the medical experts.
You put out a plan with Senator Elizabeth Warren this week aiming to protect frontline workers like grocery and drugstore employees, food service workers, and farmers. What exactly are you proposing in the Essential Workers Bill of Rights, and why now?
Well, it's very simple. I mean, there are about 60 million Americans who are still going to work while many of us are working remotely. And let me just focus on three basic things that we should do. First, any person who's working now, if they're a grocery worker, if they're a nurse, should have safety in the workplace. They should be able to have masks. They should be able to get gloves. Second, they should get a premium pay. If they're driving across the country to get our groceries delivered, we ought to recognize that. And third, they should have some basic child care as they're going to work to make sure that they can take care of their families.
Congressman Khanna, where do things stand right now with the next phase of relief funding, and what's the holdup?
Well, we need to do it. We need to have the small business loans extended. A lot of small businesses have benefited from it. Here is the challenge. We want to make sure that the loans are going to the businesses that need them most. We've heard that in some cases, the businesses that have the best connection with the banks are the ones that are getting prioritized. But this needs to be resolved. It needs to be resolved in the next few days. And I certainly support getting $250 billion more to our small businesses.
The president's announcement withholding funding from the WHO comes at the same time as new reporting raises questions about the origins of the coronavirus, whether it started at a wet market or a lab. That's prompting calls to hold China accountable. Your thoughts?
Well, certainly China hasn't been transparent. It's clear. Look, they manipulated us when we did the trade agreement with them. They had a clause in there that if there is a pandemic, they no longer would have to buy from the United States. So they obviously had some suspicion that there could be a pandemic. They were not transparent. The place where I respectfully disagree with the president is I don't think we ought to get rid of the funding for the World Health Organization, which would just make it China and other countries have more influence. I think we ought to fund it, but we ought to make sure it has American values and the values of liberal democracy and is holding China accountable.